Now, why have I got this bottle in my collection? Well, as you do, because I'm a whiskey lover, a single malt whiskey lover, my social feeds are full of whiskey information, whiskey content, whiskey sites, whiskey advertising, which I like to peruse to see if there's something interesting to me. And not that long ago, say about a month ago, this popped up in my feed, right? And what immediately caught my attention, particularly if you look at the tube that it comes in, is the branding, the gold and the black, and the big eagle on the front. Really caught my attention. Now, I've never watched an episode of Game of Thrones in my life. I'm probably the only person in the world, perhaps, but I'm certainly aware of Game of Thrones. And in fact, I visited the castle in Scotland where some of it was filmed, just for interest's sake, but I've never actually watched the show, but very, very aware of it. So that's what got my attention. Now, is this a better or worse whiskey than any other good quality single malt Scotch whiskey? I'm not sure. Possibly, possibly not. We'll find out. It's not the point. The point of this story is it got my attention. It got me to look. Now, think about this in your mortgage broking business. Yes, you can have all of the best processes, people, outcomes, products, everything in the market, but how useful is that if no one knows about you? There's an old saying, no point building the best motel in the world in the middle of the desert, right? A little bit like having the best mortgage broking business in the country, but no one knows about it. So, how do you get people's attention? Yes, you can do all sorts of content, but one of the shortcuts is to associate yourself with a very well known brand. Now, what would that mean here in Australia? Look, it could be a celebrity, it could be a particular highly watched TV show, it could be some other form of influencer, somebody that can very quickly bring attention to your brand. Now, how do you calculate the return on investment on that? Well, I guess that's something for another discussion. To get people to suddenly take notice of your brand or your business and contemplate using you, association with a very, very well regarded celebrity, TV show, influencer, sports person, something that people can go, oh, that's got my attention. Obviously, beyond that, you need to deliver on all of the services that you offer. So that's the message. Is there a brand? Is it viable to associate your mortgage broking business with somebody or a something? This is not a somebody, this is a something. It certainly works for me. Never having watched Game of Thrones, but the branding and the association got my attention in a flow of information, right? Without the branding to Game of Thrones, would I have taken notice? Probably not. Have a think about that. I think it's a really interesting and valuable way to open up awareness of your business and your product to drive inbound inquiry. And obviously, you set up your business to capture that inbound interest and inquiry, whether it's using social media platforms, paid advertising to target people with advertising using the pixel um, to follow them around with your ads, or just to have people opt in to know more about your service. Lots of different ways you can do that. That's probably more of a marketing discussion, but at a business building, brand association level, which is something I've spoken about a couple of times before, but it's something that I'm finding more and more intrigues me as to how to get attention on you in a sea of sameness. Obviously, your quality of what you do is important. How well you identify your niche is super important. But also, a real fast track can be to associate yourself with a highly regarded and well known brand.